Welcome back to Dad of Twang. I'm Dave. So we're on this C R&B thing again. We're going to do one more video on this. It's a good little groovy progression. A lot of folks seem to like it, gotten a lot of comments about it, and people having different ideas about what they can do with this piece. And a couple of days ago, we did the initial video on this. We went over the progression, and we really focused on those double stop or those kind of harmonized licks, like that kind of stuff, okay? And there was some of that in that intro today. Today, I'm not going to spend time in this video because we really got into that and broke it down well, I think, in that previous video. So you put these two together. If you like this sound and you really want to get into this, that'd be a great program for you. Today, we're going to go a little bit more chord by chord, especially with that E7, the second chord in this progression, and how that leads to that A minor. And I'm going to show you the progression here in just a second, and how you can use some pretty simple ideas as far as what scales and so forth to use, but that really sound cool over this. Okay, so this is going to be a fun one that's going to pay off for you with not having to learn a whole lot of theory, but I'm just going to show you some pretty straight up pentatonic looking stuff with a few extra notes in there that really sounds cool and really feels good. So our progression is C, E7, A minor, adding a G in the bass of that A minor, then F, then just C, G, F, and hold that F out for two measures at the end to bring it back around. So that second half of the progression is really, it's 1, 4, 5 stuff in C, right? That's really straightforward. The thing that really makes this stand out, the cool thing about this progression, this groove, is this C to the E7 dominant chord. Okay, and especially where it goes right after that. Okay, so that E7 really leads your ear to that A minor. Okay, A minor is the relative minor for C major. Okay, so we're still very much in C here. That's called a secondary dominant the theory behind how that dominant E chord leads to that A minor. It just has intervals that are closely related to it that resolve in a certain way that makes it feel and sound that way. You don't have to worry about all that. It's just kind of a side note. Here's how we can go about this. When you start this on C, a lot of times I just like to start with just a pentatonic, You see me do that all the time. I just like to kind of get in a location and kind of get going. I don't try to play a really smoking lick right on the downbeat, unless it's really composed and you have it rehearsed and the whole band's on it, and then that's really cool. But for kind of jammy stuff, I like to just kind of ease into it a little bit. So I'll go. Now, see, there's that sound right away that you can, even without hearing the chords with that, you can tell that that's a chord change. Okay, so what is that note? Now, when I bend this one at first, if you start with in that position. When you bend that, you're bending up to. That's the third of the C. It is E, happens to be. Right? Now that is the note B. If we kind of leading us to that E, B is the fifth in E. There's another position that you could do, like. Okay, so now I'm just going to walk it chromatically. Okay, up to here, that's D, the flat 7 of the. See that? Don't worry about all of this. It's just, you know, if some of it makes sense to you, great. Use it, come back, let the pieces fall together, you know, when you're ready. That just has a lot of cool elements. You got a little chromatic thing, you got some good juicy chord tones, including a flat 7th, which is always great over a dominant chord. Now, remember what we said about the next thing that progression does is go to that A minor. Well, A minor pentatonic. Same notes as C major pentatonic. But you can really, you're right there. Okay, now, I have to wait for this to come into, well, that's kind of towards the end of it, right? So, here we are at the top. Okay, I'm going to wait for it to come around again and do that again. Kind of try to get this one pretty precisely at first then. Okay, now don't worry. Threw a lot of stuff in there the second time around there, right? But I'm going to break that down for you too a little bit, but really try to get that. Right. And honestly, after that, most of what I did was just C major pentatonics, that kind of blues licks mixed in there. I didn't throw all the double stops and stuff into it that time because I wanted to kind of clean it out so we could really isolate that, what I just showed you, that sequence. But at the end here, in a couple of minutes, I'll show you, you know, you put together that's the double stop stuff, a little bit of this chromatic magic with the chord tones, the target chord, the target notes in that dominant E7, and then your blues stuff. You'll have a nice little solo. You don't have to move around a whole lot. In that intro, I kind of just went up here and did almost I did a different little chromatic thing, if I remember right. But I was really doing a lot of that same little pocket. Now, let's talk about that second half, which is a little less complicated chord-wise, right? It's C, G, F, So some things you can do there is really just, identify a couple of locations for some triads, basically. G, C, sorry, I guess if you... but what I was going to suggest was kind of staying in that C major pentatonic over the C. And then for the G and the F, really seeking out some triads. So there's one right there. That's a G. Just kind of like you're taking these three strings of that kind of basic bar chord. Another one would be... Right, if we're thinking caged, that's that C shape, but in this location it's G. And then down to is F. Okay, you don't always have to play that, walking it down one fret at a time, but that sounds cool. That's a good technique. And then kind of breaking up those little triad clusters. And here's one really nice sounding, simple way to do that. For this shape, it's just sliding up. It's almost like you're just kind of stepping out and doing a major pentatonic scale for each one of them, if you want to think of it that way. Don't overthink it, but... Okay, so that's, sounds a little pedestrian there because it's kind of, there's, it's a real simple group of notes, but when you play that over a groove like this, let's see where I am. Okay, there's the C. C. Okay. So there I put, little by little, I added in the double stops. I used this. Those two positions. And for the C, like I said before, I really just did a lot of... and then I did this routine that we did at the beginning, but I just started up here. Okay, so yeah, now you get in there and you take a little closer look, you sort stuff out into their buckets. There's not a whole lot of different stuff going on in there. It's just a few skills that are rehearsed enough to where you can get comfortable and then start adding your own stylistic and musical choices and expressing it in your own language. And that's when you're going to feel that surfboard get lifted. by that wave. And when it happens, you'll know it. It doesn't need to be validated by me or any other, any authorities out there that tell you that it's right or the wrong way forget about all that, man. That stuff's getting, I understand the humor in some of it, but it's also getting a little hyped up, isn't it? Right? Keep it simple, man. When it feels good, you're on it. And you build on that, and you do that in your own way, in your own time. Let me know how you do with this. Take it easy.